Hi everybody. My name is Lee Keener. I'm the user group leader for the Knoxville Splunk user group, and this is I think it's our 7th meeting. We're going to talk about, usually the way these work is we have a little bit of information in the beginning, and then we kind of want to have a discussion, talk to people about, what's going on, and if they want to brag about something cool they've done, or if they've, got a challenge they're facing, bring it up and we can maybe help solve that. We've got a couple of Splunk people on the call. My sales engineer, Chris Vasquez, is here. And then a couple of one of my coworkers, Courtney Carter, is here as well. So anyway, we'll get right into it then. So if everybody, all right. So regular expressions. My idea behind this is I would kind of start at the beginning and kind of work up to where I'm at. I am by no means a humongous expert, but I am definitely, I've learned a lot in the last, the 5 years I've been using Splunk. So it's a sequence of characters, this is the Wikipedia definition, sequence of characters that specify a search pattern to be used by a string searching algorithm. Splunk uses the PCRE, which when we get into Regex 101 here in a second, you'll see there's different flavors of Regex. And it's just the pattern for the match. There are meta characters, and then there are the literal characters that you match. And let's see here. So, like, I've got this. Can everybody see that? Is that big enough? So if you've got a string, and this is Regex 101, which I highly recommend. It's great for coming out here and building things. It supports all the syntax that works inside Splunk. So you can literally copy an expression from here and go paste it into props.conf for a Rex, or however you want to, wherever you're going to use it. So it's literally just looking for matches, So here, if I'm matching, these 3 letters, it finds a match. If I add a space, it finds a match. If I add another space, now all of a sudden we're not matching. That's it's very black and white. You either match or you don't. And you can get very complex on top of that, which we'll get to here in a minute. There are escaped characters. That's this, isn't it? Yeah, so there's like any word character, and Regex does a good job of explaining these, and then there are tokens that give you the ability to say, match, one or more of those, and as you use these, you kind of get the hang of it. There's lots of cheat sheets out there. Just Google Regex cheat sheet, and you'll be able to find one that you like, print it out, stick it on your office wall or something. I had some notes here. Let me see. So you can use, and if this is too simple, y'all let me know. But you can define a single character pattern with a pair of brackets. So I can say A to Z, and now I'm matching the T, the first T, as I point at my screen, which y'all can't see. Or you can use those escaped characters. Here's a pattern, that matches the first 2 words, because we're saying any word character, one or more word characters, any white space character, which is this %S. You could also just use a literal space there, and it would still work. So anyway, that is the basics there. I'm sorry if that, is there any questions on that, or is that really simple? And so no questions. So, all right. So, what we were just showing you there is matching a pattern, or matching a string with a pattern. What makes it useful for Splunk is this idea of capturing. So you can define a capturing group inside of Splunk, and that's what makes all the magic happen. Capturing groups are defined by a pair of parentheses, and they're used to, let's see here, identify stuff. So like you can say, and the syntax is question mark, bracket, and then your field name or the capturing group name, for example, and then the pattern you want to match, and then there it is. So if you look, regex has said, okay, we've got to match, because you always have to have the match. The entire expression has to match. Now the capturing group is now a subset of the overall expression that is matching. So we can say has fox. We could also have one that says question mark has dog. And you'll notice that they're not matching now because those two patterns, this pattern here and this pattern here, they exist, but there's all this stuff in between. So we would need to intersect, include something that would allow the overall expression to match, which in this case would be any character and one or more of any character. And now all of a sudden I've got a total match with my whole expression. I've got a fox and I've got a dog. Is everybody tracking with me so far? Again, is this too simple, or is this helpful?
This is not too simple. It's moving really fast.
Oh, okay. Well, so what do you have any questions on that? Where am I going too fast? I would be happy to slow it down.
I don't think it's too fast. It's just I'm barely keeping up. So this is cool, but
okay, cool,
great.
So the important thing is that so you have to write an expression that is going to match something in the text, and again, this is the hard part. This is where I struggled with, is that it either matches or it doesn't. There is no in between. There is no gray area. So this, forgetting about the capturing groups for a second, this match, nothing works without that. So if you have data quality issues, that's where you're going to run into some issues, and there's ways to get around that. You just have to account for all of your variations. So capturing groups are how we're going to take pieces of the data out, and that is, the segue into now how Splunk is going to do this. So in Splunk, so like here's a little piece of a props.conf file. Does everybody know what a props.conf file is? This is the piece of Splunk that defines how data is, the fields get extracted from your data sources. This first one here is from the Apache TA for Apache web server. There's also another command that lets you do it in searching. We're going to get to that later. And then there's the field extractor inside the GUI. So here, as the fire hose continues, where's my notepad? So this is the Apache TA. This is the configuration file that controls how an Apache web server log gets ingested into Splunk. So every time, if everybody knows how Splunk runs, Splunk is schema at read. So whenever you're searching inside Apache, all of these regular expressions are being evaluated as you're searching. So the data, none of these fields are ever stored alongside your index. The index contains, where all the letters and characters are, but these fields are actually evaluated at search time. So all these expressions, so like if we look at this one, and it kind of, based on what we just talked about, so this is a capturing group. This little caret character is the beginning of the string. So it makes sure it's at the beginning of the string. That is optional, I would say. And then we define a capturing group called source, and then it's any non-white space character, which is the big S. Little s is a white space character, big S is and it's one or more of those. then the capturing group ends, and then it's looking for the first white space character. So basically, it's the first contiguous word of the thing, of the event, or yeah, I guess event is the right term. The second one is essentially the same thing. It's going past that first one, the first, the contiguous non-white space plus the white space, and then it's defining another field, same kind of thing. This one down here goes past the first two words, and so forth. I don't know if that's too much. Here's one of the ones we built where we do it all in one big long string. And this is to find out of our SCADA log remote faulted circuit indicators and extract all the fields related to those. And I'll show you an example of those here in a second. Let's see, what is next? So let's see here. All right, so we talked about the faulted circuit indicator one. So this, our SCADA data there's two types of it. There's messages and there's measurements, which are the two different types of stuff we get out of our electric SCADA system. And it's really messy. It's the Siemens Telegear is Fortran based, so it's got all this white space that it generates as a, I guess just because that's how Fortran does its thing. So this big nasty scary regular expression, I built it, little pieces at a time, but it allows you to, take this information and be able to say, now I've got a field called RFCI, and I can look up, an RFCI by number. I can also group them by the type of alarm or the operation. This one, this is when an RFCI is actually taking an action. It's on the C phase. It's resetting. I think there was a simpler one I wanted to just show you. I kind of feel like I jumped right into the hard one. I know that looks scary, but if you just kind of build it up, one at a time, so that there's that first capturing group. If we take all that off, I've still got, this. I use this. This is just literal text to match that first part of the pattern, which jumps me down to this part of the event. And then, and that quote, that double quote is actually in the event, right? And then I open up my capturing group, and then I start doing my patterns. In this case, the RFCIs are a 5 to 6 digit number. So I'm saying 0 to 9, and then 5 or 6 instance occurrences of that, which is what the curly brackets do. Then a literal hyphen, must have a hyphen, and then the numbers 1 through 3, because we have numbered them for the different phases. There's, A, B, and C phase. Conductor is 1, 2, and 3 RFCI. Probably could have been A, B, and C now that I'm thinking about it, but then the rest of that stuff, oops, hang on, let me bring it back in. Is this helpful so far? Is everybody, what are we thinking?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
showing how you're building this up is
Yes,
helpful.
it's pretty cool, man.
yeah, so you just work your way up. So the hard part, I'll give you a tip I have is like when you build a large one like this, and in my experience, this is the way I like doing it, rather than like if we go back and look at how that Splunk one was done. So what they've done here is each one of these has a single capturing group in it, right? So, and I think we actually had commented out, yeah. So this one here, this is essentially what I like doing. Is you're taking, you have your event, and the event is the data that's coming in. In our case, it's historian data coming from Siemens Telegear, and that data essentially has the same kind of format. There's some wild variations, but there's a timestamp at the end. There's a timestamp at the beginning. They're different for us because we have like an in-field time, and then when it made it to the system time, and then there's all the stuff in between. By capturing all the fields in one shot, you don't have to reposition. Where if you notice down here, they're having to capture this HTTP method, they've got to have this pattern to get it where they want in the string. Now, if you've got two different patterns of strings, that are significantly different, you can do those separately, and that's probably a good idea in most cases, because remember the extraction of the fields, that's a subset of the overall match, so it has to match. So once you can get an idea of something that will match, so if there's all the other stuff that's coming in SCADA, all these regular expressions will be evaluated against that data, all of them, against all the events. So you want it to be what's the word? You want it to be precise enough so that you're not getting any weird false positives. And this one, I think we're pretty safe, because if the event doesn't have the word RFCI in it, Splunk is gonna dump off this one and go straight to the next one. As the search processor is doing its thing. The magic that makes Splunk as awesome as it is. But once you get those patterns identified, you can just keep going until you get all the data you want. Like we don't ever really need this RFCI event date, but it was there. It was easy to get, so I went ahead and collected it. Plus, it helped me. Now I've got an example of how to capture this. The Siemens time format, which I probably will need, and in some other event eventually. Any questions on this? All right, so now let's talk about one of the really cool commands. Is called Rex. So when you're searching, and say you've got patterns in data, so here, let's explain it first. So Rex, you can use Rex inside a search to run a regular expression against all or part of your event and produce new fields from that data. And it's very powerful. If you omit the field keyword, which allows you to kind of confine the Rex search against an individual field in the data, then it'll run against raw, which is your whole event. Does everybody know what raw is? That's the actual. That's what's stored on the disk in the index. Expression goes in double quotes. Here's an example of one. So you're going to have a search, some kind of a search, and then you're going to pipe. Oops, you cannot. Hang on. You can't select text in PowerPoint. I just found out. So you have the Rex, and then if you want to confine it to a field, you point it to some field, and then your regular expression goes inside double quotes. And in this case here, it's just defining a single capturing group. So let's go look at Rex examples. So here first, let's tell a story. So I've got, how do I move this? I can't see all my, yeah, okay, nope, that's not it. No, that's not it. That's it. Okay, so we had a substation that had started having some comm issues, communication issues. And so what I've done is I'm looking at my message log. I'm looking at that substation. That's actually that's superfluous. And then I'm just organizing the messages in order, and I'm looking at the time span when we had the comm fail event. So I have all this stuff, but then my boss is like, "Hey, I want to see. Can I see a graph of those events?" So looking at the data, like if you go back and you look at the event data, the message, the web interface is removing all that extra white space that you saw in Regex 101, but it's still there. So what I need to know is, I want to see these events here. So the easiest way to do it is if I do a Rex command, and then we won't watch me type because I'm terrible. I'm a self-taught typist, and it's really terrible to watch me type. So here's what I'm doing. So we know that it's the message field, right? And then, you know what? I had a regex. Let's do it that way. Let the cat out of the bag. Well, so I was going to show it to you in Regex 101, but basically what I'm doing is I'm using Rex. I'm pointing it to the field message. I'm immediately creating a capturing group because remember, all we have to do is match. And then there's this really cool operator in Regex called the pipe command, or is the pipe command. It's not called the pipe command. So then all of these patterns here that are I'm looking for, I define all four of them separated by ORs. And then if I run that search, right, now I'll have a my action field that has extracted out the four events. So then I can come over here and I can say time chart count by my action, split it by that. That just split everything out, and now I can graph my fails versus my set on lines and my other ones, and maybe we modify the span a little bit so that it's not quite so rounded off. So that's all Rex. That's just using a regular expression to piece of, pull apart that message field, extract these four patterns into a new field. Because each event is only going to have one occurrence of those, so that makes things pretty simple. Does anybody have any questions on that? All righty. Are we going too fast or too slow, or is everybody, how are we doing? Courtney, are you still there? No, that's caller. Okay. All righty.
I think we're good. I think we're curious about the end game here.
The end game. Well, see, well, now I'm afraid I'm going to disappoint you because there was one more example I wanted to show you. So sometimes, and this was one, it took me a while to figure this one out. So this is breakers and currents. So if we look at, do I have one of these? I move this. Oh, I can. Okay. I'm not the best at giving web presentations, so I apologize if I'm saying and stuff a lot. Where's measurements? Okay, so here's measurements. So there was an extraction. Well, I guess it's worth noting. Has anybody ever built a field extraction? So there's like an interface to do this, or you can do it with a props.conf file. So basically, this is where you can come in and define things that you can use, to filter your data, understand things. And, a lot of what I've been doing has to do with breakers and circuits, because it's all electric SCADA data. We have these fault location isolation FLISR, we call them, devices. We have a few other things. There's a way to extract data directly in the GUI if anybody's ever messed with it, with any of this stuff. So like, here's an event, it has this raw string. These are the fields it's already extracting. Well, you can come in here and say extract fields, and then that will jump Splunk into the field extractor. I believe you need to be at least a power user to do this. If you're looking for the button, and then of course you're given these two options here. Delimiters is kind of really if you're dealing with like file-based data. You've got a big giant spreadsheet you want to suck into Splunk or a CSV file or something. So we'll choose regular expression. And then this initial part, it wants you to, pick some data. So like in this case, say we wanted to build that as a field. So we would call that, you give it a name, you add extraction. I don't ever take the regular expression that Splunk builds you, because if you look at this one, there's a lot of generic stuff there. There's a good chance this is going to have a lot of false positives. But then you can do something cool like edit that. So let's go back. Where was the one? Oh no, wait, I've got it up here. So I had my original expression was just failed return to service set online. Okay, I did not practice this, but we'll see what happens here. I think I need to cap the group outside it. But it gives you a little, it's kind of like Regex 101. I have not had good lucks with this because sometimes it will get glitched and it'll just stop working. Like a pattern that was working a minute ago now no longer works. So you're better off to use the Regex 101 the way I've seen it, because it allows you to come in, have stuff like this. All of your capturing groups get caught. This one, if you're paying attention, this one actually has a conditional. So like this, where it's got second capturing group, there's actually two different. There's a group for phase, and then there's a pipe or an alarm. So either it's an alarm message or it's an operational message, and those include the phase of the conductor that was that operated. Kind of felt like I got off track there. So that's the one in Splunk. There was one other thing. Let me go back to my thing here. All right. So that is actually the end of the. Oh no, wait. There was the conditional one. That's right. I'm on with it now. So the issue with this one, I did not have a demo set up. So let's see here. Which one is messages, measurements? So breaker equals star and then PQ. So so these events here have this PQ flag, and let's pull this event out. So typically this would be my process to go if I wanted to build something to capture these. And you come out here. So, we have all this text, right? And I want to start my pattern with something that I know is going to be consistently available for all occurrences of the pattern I want to match, or the string I want to match. And then you start working your way through the capturing groups. Well, where this one, is that right? Yeah. So where this one got interesting is that there are instances of this data that looks like that. So we have stations that have transducer-based measurements, and then we have stations that have power quality meters attached, and we flag that in the measurements with a parentheses PQ. So I needed to be able to match both of those. Of course, this is saying it doesn't match that anymore. End of string. Well, see, there's the demo for you. That works. It used to work. B0 ACB. Oops. Well, so what I'm trying to do, I'm sorry the demo's not working, but what I'm trying to do is, so this capturing group captures the phase, and then the string, either the string is going to end, so we have a new group. That's what these blue quotes here, new group, and then the big dollar sign is a, I guess there's no lowercase dollar sign. Big dollar sign is a end of string, or a space, and then a new capturing group for PQ flag, and then I'll capture that. And then I can do some conditional stuff on whether it's PQ meter or not, because the accuracy of those are different, and that matters to us sometimes, depending on when we're looking at currents and other things like that. That is really that's the end of my presentation. Again, I apologize for it not being as polished. You know, we're at our summer peak right here, and so things have been kind of crazy around here. So here are some tips. You know, build things in small pieces and then assemble them, because it only works when it works. There is no, when it's not working, you've got no idea, you know, how it's, you know, what's causing it to fail. Same way, if you've got a big one that was working and no longer works, you know, bust it into pieces, you know, make sure those pieces work, and, you know, work it back into the big expression that you need. As far as using, you know, like the /W and the /S, you know, I'm favor specifically, you know, identifying the characters and, you know, being more precise than less, because that way I always feel like that maybe is I'm more assured of what I'm going to get, as opposed to, you know, trying to make the simplest, you know, shortest, most efficient expression, where sometimes, you know, maybe that could give you some false positives. One thing, this one here on the null values, if you've got a time chart that's looking at fields that are coming from, you know, like say you've got a by clause with some field that you've extracted either with the field extraction or, you know, with the rex, and you've seen nulls in the time chart, that means you've got something weird going on. Go look at your events and find the ones that don't match, and see what's going on there. If I'd had more time, I probably would have given you an example of that, but, you know, that's just something to be aware of. The other thing that's very important is, like, oops, if you've got a bunch of ores, you know, the pipes, those are less efficient. So you don't want to, you know, build a regular expression that's got 20 pipes in it and then run that on 10 million events, because it will probably take a long time. You know, the processor for Splunk is going to chew on that more than it does. And then the last little thing, this is something that, well, if you have more than one match for a pattern, you know, a concise kind of a short pattern, kind of like this example here, Splunk will actually, by default, it's what's called global. It will match them all. This adding the question mark after the pattern definition will make it ungreedy. This is the term they use, and ungreedy only matches the first occurrence. And that is it. Is there any questions?